All right, guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all good. So some of you guys who followed me for a while may remember back in the day, Dave used to have a studio called The Cove. It was a studio in his back garden at a house that they were renting at the time, and he built it up with like a full mixing console, full desk that he built himself. We had our whole amp collection there and a drum room and a live room and everything else. Now, Dave is a huge fan of studios, studio gear, studio outboard gear. Much like myself, I got into it through Dave. And one of the brands that he used to talk about quite a lot back in the day, and actually bought a couple of their 1176 clones, was Warm Audio. Some of you guys may know Warm Audio. They, as far as I understand it, have made the name for themselves in studio outboard gear, microphones, outboard gears like compressors, EQs, and I guess their USP or their specialty is to recreate those iconic pieces of gear and hardware, but for way more affordable prices. And the cool thing is that most of the money you're spending on the Warm Audio gear is going into the component section of that piece of kit. Hence why Dave bought two of their 1176 clones, because as far as I remember, they used the same transformers as the original 1176s, or they were really high quality transformers. There was something in those 1176 clones that Dave got that he really was like, that's ridiculous for the money.
Hello everybody, John the editor here. I thought I'd give my brother a quick call.
Really?
Dave, do you remember ages ago you bought like two 1176 clones from Warm Audio?
Yeah.
Do you remember why you bought them?
Cinemag Transformers.
Are they the same ones that they had in the original 1176s?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, bye.
Bye.
Fast forward a few years and I got a lovely email from a guy called Sean, who's part of Warm Audio, and he was like, hey man, don't know if you know who we are. Of course I did know who Warm Audio were, but I guess you may or may not know that we do guitar pedals, and we actually do some guitar effects, fuzzes and phasers and all the rest of it, which raised my eyebrow. Number one, because I guess I didn't know Warm Audio did pedals, but number two, I was like, if they take the same approach, anything like they used to do with their outboard gear, there could be some pretty interesting pedals coming out from Warm Audio. So at this point, they'd sent across two pedals for me to check out, and in this video, we're going to be looking at one of those, and that is the Warm Audio Jet Phaser. So on the back of the box, there's a lovely little blurb which I want to read to you whilst you're taking a look at some of the close-ups, but those of us old enough to remember the mid-70s and mid-80s can attest to two things: interesting fashion choices and a lots of phaser. The phaser became an integral part of some of the most iconic guitar riffs and solos ever tracked to tape. And let's not forget about all the classic keyboard riffs. One phaser, however, stood out from all the others, blazing its own path like a jet streaking across the sky. Released in 1975 and famously championed by bass visionary Larry Graham, it had its own sound, combining phase and fuzz effects into one versatile sonic tour de force. So I love that. I think that's really descriptive, and they're clearly excited and passionate about this. Well, the Warm Audio Jet Phaser is a faithful recreation of the original circuit of that pedal. So everything that you hear and see here is designed to be just like that of the original, except it's not going to cost you thousands and thousands to get a hold of one. Just want to let you guys know at this point, this is a sponsored video. I've been paid to check out these pedals by Warm Audio. They got in touch and asked me if I'd be up for it. And the purpose of this video is to go through the pedal, show you the sounds in a context of how I like to use things. And any opinions of it, I'll leave to the end. So the Jet Phaser, as you can see here, it's a big unit. This is my hand on the close-up here, and this is the size of the unit. It looks like an old school, like synth, modular synth. Got a fast and a slow foot switch, which is cool. Kind of reminds me of your rotary Leslie cabinet vibes. And then on the left-hand side, you've got the bypass, you've got the effect on and off switch. Top left, this is a little slider that goes between taking its power from a DC adapter, which is supplied with the pedal, or a battery 9-volt. Next to it, we've got the jet level. Now, the jet level is essentially the overdrive or the fuzz effect in this pedal. So that basically rides that. Then you've got your mode selector switch. You have 4 different types of jet, and then you've got 2 different types of phase. The jet is essentially a mix between like a fuzz and a phaser. Then you've got 2 different phase positions if you don't want any of the overdrive sort of fuzz distortion going on in there. You've got a resonance control, which acts like the level for the phaser, how I guess it would have done maybe back in the day. And then you've got the rate of the slow side of the phaser. So the fast and slow foot switch obviously changes the speed, but you can set where the slow rate is before you engage that. In this video, we're going to be using my Fender Strat. It's tuned to D standard. We're going to be running into the Victory Super Kraken on a crunch because I like the way that sounds. And I've got the UA Golden Reverberator and Starlight Echo Station in the loop if we choose to use them. But without further ado, let's check out the Warm Audio Jet Phaser. Cool. So that is the sound of the guitar, bit of a crunch. Anyway, let's move on and check out the Jet Phaser. So first off, we're going to try out the phase mode first. So let me take the resonance down, keep the slow rate where it is, leave the jet level where it is. Let's check out the sound of the phaser. So you can hear it's quite a mild amount of phase. I quite like a more aggressive kind of phase, so let's put it on to number 2. So you can hear that I prefer it in position 2, where the phase is much more exaggerated with the resonance all the way up, so you can really hear it. I like to hear the effect, you know? With the resonance quite high, it's a bit overbearing, so when it's on fast, so turn up the crunch a bit. Let's go for some old school vibes, some like 90s thing. So that is the sound of the phaser. As you can hear, I prefer position 2. It's much more exaggerated because I quite like the phaser sound. Just takes me back to my favorite grunge bands and Incubus and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, really where this pedal comes into its own is with both the Jet and the phaser together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the mode to mode 1. We just heard the phase modes 1 and 2 here. Now I've brought it back over here to positions 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a combination of both phase and fuzz. Jet mode 1 is a shallow phase with a bright fuzz. Jet mode 2 is a deep phase with a bright fuzz. And then we've got Jet 3 and 4 is basically shallow phase with a deep fuzz and deep phase with a deep fuzz. So 2 different types of fuzz and 2 different types of phase depth to mess around with. So let's go Jet position number 1. I'm going to put the resonance about halfway. Let's go. So as you heard there, that is an intense combination of both phase and fuzz. And it really does get going. I had to back off the resonance quite a lot. I think it depends on the kind of rig you're running, where that resonance wants to be set for how much you're pushing that phaser in front. But overall, particularly position 1, I felt like that was nice on neck pickup, really nice for leads as well on bridge pickup. So let's try that again. Digging that. And if you noticed, I did turn the jet level all the way up. It just sounded better to me. Right, let's move on to jet position number 2. So this is more depth in the phase, but with a light fuzz too. So again, for me, I think I'd put the resonance lower. I might just back off a bit of gain on the amp, you know. So this is without it. Sweet. So you can clearly hear the only difference being there is that the phaser sweep is much bigger. It's much more of a swoosh effect. It is giving me vibes of that old school sound. I'm not, you know, I was born in '88, so I definitely missed that boat. And so I'm only listening to those records in reference by my dad and friends and that going, oh, you got to listen to this, got to listen to that. But it is reminding me of that era. Needless to say, let's move on. So now we're trying a deep fuzz and a shallow phase. So that's the darker sounding fuzz with a shallow amount of phase. I think that one's my favourite so far. Well, actually, that one's nice because it's chunky and you get a nice riffage from it. But I actually quite like position 2 because it's thinner, it's better for lead, and then you get quite an intense amount of phase there. Okay, so now on to jet mode number 4. That's the deep phase and deep fuzz. So resonance is about halfway. Jet level on full, of course. Here we go. Okay, there is a look at the Warm Audio Jet Phaser. So, I am not an expert in the world of vintage gear, so I couldn't tell you if this sounds really similar to the original Jet. Someone out there probably can tell me. Again, that's got a lot to do with the rig that I'm running it through. I was running it through a modern amplifier with a bit of crunch, like a V30 sounding cab, I suppose. That might have something to do with it. Overall, the vibe I get from it is it's old school sound. I like the sound of the fuzz because it, particularly on the neck pickup when you're playing, and it's got a really rounded, fuzzy vintage thing going on. I don't know how to describe it. The phaser effect's really nice, the way it swooshes in and out of the gain when you're playing lead, which I really like. It gives it a lot of motion. And I think if you're not used to that kind of combination of effects, or should I say, you don't know anything about this particular pedal, what it was based on, you might think to yourself, well, it'd be nice if I could pull the phaser out, I had control over it separately. You kind of do with the resonance. Like if you back the resonance all the way down, you can't really hear the phaser as intensely, even on modes 2 and 4. So I think for £189, it's pretty fair price, in my opinion, of course. If you're after the vintage tones, if you're a fan of those vintage guitar tones from those records and those artists, then this, I would hope, would get you close. Again, I'm no expert in that realm of things, so I couldn't say this sounds exactly like it or exactly like that record, but hopefully some of you guys watching this do have more experience in that area. In any case, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Massive thanks to Sean at Warm Audio for sending this pedal across. I'll link it in the description box below. Definitely worth a punt trying one out if you're in a store and you see them and you're into that kind of thing. So I'll put the links in the description box. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Like, subscribe and share. I've been Rabea, and I'll see you all very soon.